So understanding that network and understanding the power of the support network you have is important, no matter whether you are, as I say, a sole trader or CEO of a multinational. The strength of any business, any organization, any charity, any group of people is the people. With all their baggage and with all their history and with all their experience and all their qualifications, the strength of any organization and business is their people. And everybody has their own story to tell. A lot of people, and it's all relative, a lot of people have been through a lot to get where they are. Other people, according to others' perspectives, seem to sail through and end up where they are. But getting to know the people, getting to know their stories, getting to know what they've been through, what has challenged them. Because if you can tap into that strength of every individual in the business, no matter where they're from, no matter how they're brought up, then it's only ever going to make your business stronger. The power is in the people every single time. And in our group of 5 that crossed that finish line at 2012, we don't look like a massively diverse group of individuals because we're all, white within a sort of 15 age sort of bracket. But we're really different. I mean, somebody with only 2 years rowing experience and another person in the crew with 15. Different disabilities, different personalities, different ages. Some people like pineapple on pizza, some people didn't. We were all diverse in our own life experience up to that point. So I think to overcome adversity within businesses is to tap into your people's individual strengths, get them to work together, to understand each other, to empathize with each other, to learn how to push each other and encourage each other, to champion each other's abilities, because that's what we did in our crew. And we made that promise to ourselves that all we needed to do was cross the finish line first. But we then were able to hold each other accountable with everything that we did. The quality of food we were eating, the kit we turned up with, the attitude we had, because we'd made that promise to ourselves. A 100 days before we went to London, we met with our psychologist. It's called William Winston, brilliant man. And Pam in the crew had discovered this Aristotle quote: "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit." And we decided to live by that mantra, excellence is habit. And that enabled us to challenge each other when needed on maybe the food someone was eating or the attitude they had. It enabled us to hold each other accountable. It enabled us to praise each other when we needed it. And we had this real transparency and this real openness. And that in itself created a huge amount of trust. So when we were sat on the start line at London, we knew that we'd left no stone unturned. For me, I think a business having a purpose, but everybody understanding what their place is within that plan, because everybody will add something. Whether you're the cleaner or the CEO, you all have a part to play in that plan. So having a shared goal and understanding your part in that goal, how you're going to get there, I think is the thing I've learned most from my athletic career. It's that shared plan, shared goal. How do we all fit into that? Let's go do it. Within a sports team, you don't just have the team that are on there on the water, in our case, performing, or the individual on the track performing, or the team on the hockey pitch performing. That's not it. The support team is so much wider. You have all the experts, all the specialists that can provide you with the things that you need for training to get you to that race, or to get you to that track, or to get you to that pitch. And that's just as important in any environment, whether you're a sole trader, single business owner, or whether you work in an organization, a large organization, a global organization. Understanding who your supporters are, who can provide the skills and the support that you cannot do for yourself. So me running my own business, I have a group of people around me who provide the things that I can't do, my printing, my graphic design, various other things like that, videography and so on. And the same in any organization, you have different departments that can do certain things. You just got to really understand what each person brings to you and how they can help you. And that makes it sound really selfish. It's not, because you're going to be helping them too. You're going to be supporting each other on the way to whatever it is you want to achieve. When our coach let us go onto the water for the final at 2012, a job was done. She couldn't do anything from then on. She just had to let us go and believe and trust that everything that we'd done together over the past 2-3 years with her was going to be put into action when the starter said go. So understanding that network and understanding the power of the support network you have is important, no matter whether you are, as I say, a sole trader or CEO of a multinational. When people talk about limitations, and it's always an interesting word, because some people say weaknesses, and I like to say limitations, because it doesn't mean that you can't sort of overcome them. There are things that some of us are just naturally not good at. I'm not good at maths. Hands up, don't have a problem saying that. Maths is not my strong point. I can just about, muddle through a spreadsheet. But understanding what your limitations are and who can fill the gaps that you can't fill for yourself is really, really important. When I speak to audiences, I talk about the strengths within the team and the personalities and how we work together as a team with all our differences. I also touch on behaviors and behavioral preferences. Everybody behaves in a certain way, and they have a preferred way of showing who they are to you, to the person they're communicating with. And everybody has strengths and everybody has limitations, but those limitations don't have to define you, because you can make sure that they are, off into the background, and you are really harnessing your strengths and harnessing your superpowers, if you want to call them that, and harnessing what you're good at. The people who want to define you by your limitations, that's their problem. It's not yours. And that was one of the things that I always felt from school, is because I was the blind girl, because I was the girl who couldn't do this and I couldn't do that, but yet I was bullied just as badly because I could do art. I wasn't bullied at all for not being able to do maths. It's just people's minds work in mysterious ways sometimes. But understanding your limitations, being able to push them to the side, or just say to somebody in your team, I'm not particularly strong at that. Would you mind checking that through before I finish it off or send it off? Lots of little things that you can do to make sure that your limitations or your weaknesses, whichever you prefer to call them, are not front and center. Make your strengths shine by understanding them and by making sure they are front and center of what you're doing. Because as a team, as an organization, you've got everything you need there. You just need to find it. When I speak to an audience, I am telling them a story. I'm taking them with me from playground to podium and beyond to that Guinness World Record. And it's not because I just want them to hear a good story. I want them to be able to relate to my experiences. I want them to be able to say, oh, yeah, well, that sounds familiar. Maybe I can input that into how I do this project or how I talk to my children, or, everyone can relate to my story. And I know that sounds crazy because so many people say, how can I relate to a Paralympic gold medalist? You're a gold medalist, for goodness sake. How can I relate to that? I'm never going to achieve that. But it's all relative. The end of my story, I could have been a hugely successful single mum, a self-made millionaire, an astronaut, a famous musician, but I'm none of those things. It's the story that got me to that 2012 start line and to that podium and beyond that is the relatable bit. Everybody's got challenges, and they're all relative to you. They're all relative to your life and what you've been through. And I just want people to understand that they can achieve anything they want to achieve with the right network, with the right support, with the right goals, understanding why you're doing things and what you're pushing for, and who's in the boat with you, who wants to help you get there. But I'd like people to leave with a sense of hope that they can go off and just do what they set their mind to.